Never made it as a wise man, and couldn't make it as a poor man stealing. I don't know the right man.
Yeah.
This is how you remind me who I really am. Welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. I'm going to give you a big old kiss right on the lips.
Now kiss.
Now kiss. Anyway, my name is Fred Stewart. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host, and well, I should say at this point, co-hosts. It's Taylor Shilland.
Hello.
And running the cameras and the audio, Marty Kalvik.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Marty. Welcome back to the dock yet again. And now, even more exciting news, we live here. So now we're just constantly around each other all the time, and Marty gets to hear the insane rants I get to go on. It hasn't happened yet because I've been too tired. But eventually, actually, we did go on a whole tangent about birds. But that's just the point because they didn't see fucking birds. They saw a goddamn UFO and they know it. Now, quick UFO news about the latest incidents, the things that have happened. They're just saying what they intercepted over Michigan. That like the octagonal shaped object, a little strength. They're saying it was a kite. So they're saying they shot a Sidewinder,
Yeah, that's
probably
what I
a
was just about to say.
$50,000 missile at a kite, which is honestly the only reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
Interesting. Well, this
Like
week
we need to take a trip to the beach and launch some missiles.
The Oregon coast just got a lot scarier.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot scary. Yeah, just imagine like, all right, kids, load up. And I'm driving to the beach and like, Dad, what are we gonna do today, Dad? And I'm like, well, we're gonna launch missiles because we're fucking patriots.
You're on the beach, a little kid flying a kite, like, oh, this is so fun. And they're like,
Put down the kite, put it down. Just fucking like, Dad, I'm having so much fun. Dude, the kites with you, it's so fun. You're like, Outlaw 2-2, this is Diego 5-6. We're gonna be intercepting the target and 5 mics. 2-1 strike. They fucking just blow a missile out, blow a fucking kite out of the sky. It's like, I made that kite with my mom, but she's not around anymore. And they're like, you should have been a fucking patriot and maybe not made a kite with her then. Anyway. What's up? What's going
they
on?
could have just went with the route of like, it was another balloon. It was shaped different, but we got it. And it would have been more believable than a fucking kite.
Yeah. It's not a kite.
It's never
No
a kite.
It's not fucking balloons. We all
I'd
know
believe a
it's
bird over a kite.
You saw the planet Venus. You saw a star.
It was a pelican, guys. Obviously.
Which is even a funnier thought of like, they just intercept this thing and they're like, Dago 2-2, we've made an intercept and it appears it's a pelican. What is our Outlaw 2? What do you want us to do with the pelican?
Shoot her down.
Copy, shoot her down, Fox 1. And they fucking just blow it like a pelican out of the sky. He's just like, I've lived my entire life on these waters. And it's just so beautiful and peaceful up here. And then he fucking explodes just in the blink of an eye, just gone. Anyway, this week, we decided to dive back into one of our favorite things in the entire world, and that's Reddit scary stories. Mainly because this is a thing we come back to when we're having a hard time writing stuff because people have to write other stuff and we get to give people really good shout outs and shit. But next week I got some shit running that's gonna be real fucking cool.
Also, you guys have had a real busy schedule with moving and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not too much time for writing and stuff.
Yeah.
This week has been just chock full of
And
moving everything.
next week, all brand new fucking episodes of All My Friends Are Dicks coming out, baby.
Oh.
Let's fucking go. Now, Tay,
Yes,
do you think I can start the episode out? Do you mind?
that's fine.
Oh, okay. This comes from Reddit user Acrobatic Bread 470. Okay. It's called Very Bad Experience. I was walking down the road when Kyler hit me vase to completely onyx, and I was kind of gay, so I know I had to throw it back. I had to strike had to stank, break, and knock him out cold with my extra plus-size glizzy because he punched me. When I was tackled by a SWAT team that kidnapped me and made me poisoner, I was kidnapped when Chupapi Glizzy Globler came in the Kingdom Come on the ceiling. When he saw my fireball, I conquered, and I came in the gritty, a lair or liar. So I gave me an appetizer before I like your champagne. I was now golden liquid. I broke out of person and fell asleep, but the Shinger attacked me. Oh, good God, no, help me. Rolling Hills found dad 19901. It was the return of the Silver part 2. I was sleeping my sleeper, and when my baby girl bust in my no-no, I scream Bobby murder. Quality content.
Man, Joe Biden needs to calm down a little bit. What's going on?
Jill was telling me, and the thing about ice cream and the balloons. When I was a boy, I love making fun of presidents. I make fun of all the presidents. It's my favorite thing in the world because it's easy.
We had oversized glizzy SWAT team tackled me, shot down a kite with the sidewinder.
Great.
Yeah.
So if you can't tell, these are going to be a mixture of stories here.
Yes.
Some are actually pretty good Reddit scary stories, and then some of them are that.
Yeah, some of these are definitely like really, really fun and well written. And I'll see if I can find my old Reddit scary story that I wrote years ago.
Oh.
I don't remember what it's called, but I just remember what it's about. But Tay, let's fucking get into it.
All right. So this one is my son's teacher has been giving him some strange homework.
I want you to go home and jerk yourself off in front of a camera and film it for me.
Oh. This is by u/Pudinator.
Nice. Fucking Pudinator, bro. Fucking give me some nucks, bro. Yeah. Dab me the fuck up. All right.
So I have recently had to move to another city due to work. My family and I, which consists of me, my wife, and my 9-year-old son Dylan, were suddenly uprooted from our quiet life and had to move to a busier city, which none of us were used to.
It's too loud.
Too loud.
My wife had to find another job in the city, and my son had to leave friends behind and start at a new school, which I hoped would be worth it for the sizable pay raise that I was receiving. We have been moved into our new home for about a month now, and everyone seems to be adjusting to the new lifestyle that we now have. My wife found a new job, which she enjoys, and she's made a number of new friends here. My son has also settled in well to the new school. He's in the 3rd grade, and due to being in a busier city, is in a larger class than he's used to. I don't think he minds, though. He has already made a few friends that have helped him adjust well to the new school. His teacher, Miss Wagner, was a younger woman, around 30, who Dylan seemed to really like.
Oh, shit. She hot? Hey, Miss Wagner, Miss Wagner, maybe we can go to the dance later. We don't have dances, Dylan. I was just thinking maybe we should go to a bar or something, I guess, whatever. So Dylan wanted to fuck his teacher. What else happened?
He would always come home and tell me and my wife all about the fun he had at school and the fun lessons that Miss Wagner would teach.
I'll bet.
I had only met her the one time, and that was when I had dropped Dylan off for school on the first day, and as far as I could tell, she was a very nice lady. Every night, Dylan would come home with different schoolwork that he would have to complete before school the next day. I'm not a massive fan of homework, but it seemed like the homework that Mrs. Wagner always said was quite simple tasks that could easily be completed in a night.
Get a gun, get a mask, rope, bag, rob a fucking store, shoot the clerk, no witnesses. Something you can do tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
For only about $50.
One night, Dylan had to ask a parent to find out what their parents did for work and ask 3 questions about their job. And another night, he had to research their favorite animal and find out 3 interesting things about it. It was always simple tasks like that, or it was simple worksheets that Dylan could complete in half an hour or so. Every night, I would ask Dylan what his homework was for the night, and then I would help him with it if he needed. That's when I noticed the homework becoming a little bit strange. One night, in Dylan's 3rd week of being in the new class, he came home looking upset. I asked him when he entered the kitchen what was wrong, and he told me everything was okay. And then I asked him what his homework was for the night, and he told me that he didn't have any that night. This is surprising because he always had some sort of homework task every single night when he had been in Miss Wagner's class, so it was strange that he suddenly didn't. Dylan left the kitchen and then went into his room, shutting the door behind himself. He doesn't usually close the door, but I thought he must want some privacy. I could tell, though, something was wrong, but he didn't want to tell me.
I'm going to smoke Pall Malls. Jerk off.
In the 3rd grade.
Yeah, whatever.
Is that what you did in the 3rd grade?
No, I was just abused.
Drink.
Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
just letting the little bits of truth slip out every so often. And it's real funny.
Just taking me off guard, I guess.
So what was Dylan doing?
Dylan spent most of the night in his room apart from dinner time when me and my wife told him that he had to sit down at the dinner table with us.
Dylan, sit down with me in my ass, please.
I don't know. I don't even know how my brain did that, but he seemed to be in a better mood during dinner. Was fairly talkative and making jokes like he normally did. After dinner, though, he went back to his room and closed the door. We decided to let him stay in there for a while, but after an hour or 2, I went in to see him and let him know that it was time to go to bed. I had walked down to his room, opened the door, and when I looked inside, he'd already fallen asleep over his workbook. I quietly walked over to gently wake him up and move him to his bed, but that's when I saw it. The homework task that was set for that night. The title that was written in Dylan's workbook was, "Would I miss my parents if I no longer lived with them?" At first, I was taken aback. This was a very weird task to set a group of 9 and 10-year-olds. I didn't really know how to react to this. I continued to read, though, to see what else he had written. And he'd written, "I would miss both my mom and my dad very much. I love them both a lot and they help me with everything. I love spending dinner time with them. But I would probably love someone else as much as them if I had to, like you were saying today." When I read the final sentence, I felt chills down my spine, which was I would probably love someone else as much as them if I had to. Those words stuck me like a brick to the face. What had Mrs. Wagner been telling my son? What was the purpose of telling him these things? I decided, probably stupidly, not to tell my wife what I had found. She would worry, and she probably had a right to worry, but I didn't want to concern her. I decided that I would instead confront Mrs. Wagner tomorrow and ask her about the strange homework task. The next day, I took Dylan to school like I normally do, except this time I got out and walked to the classroom with him. I saw Mrs. Wagner alone in the classroom, and I entered the room. She greeted me with a smile. "Hey, how are you?" she said as I entered the classroom. "How's Dylan settling in?" I answered that he was settling in well, but I did have 1 or 2 concerns. She asked me what they were, so I explained. "I was just curious about the homework you set yesterday, the one about how much they would miss their parents. I'm just concerned because it is a very strange and confronting thing to ask a group of 3rd graders. I also noticed that Dylan wrote that he might have to love someone else if he had to, like you told him. I would really like for you to explain that." Oh, that.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to.
yeah.
I want to steal your kids and then take their bones and make little chairs out of them.
Oh.
Anything else?
She let out a slight laugh. Yesterday, I was teaching them about how parents love and protect their kids, but also there are other people that would be there to help them if they need it. I wasn't satisfied with this answer, and I was about to question further when suddenly a large group of school children entered the classroom. They were all walking in 2 rows. They all greeted Mrs. Wagner and greeted her one by one. They seemed very well behaved, almost too well behaved.
Hello, Miss Wagner.
She was drugging them all.
Miss Wagner, are you going to take us on a special trip, Miss Wagner? I'm the foreign exchange student. I'm from that country that speaks English and not sure if it's Australian or British. You will never really know, Miss Wagner.
This reminds me of, have you guys ever seen, I forget who it is on YouTube, but he makes like videos and breaks down like cartoons and stuff and shows you like these really fucking obscure theories on like how shit is like in cartoons. Like he did one about the magic school bus.
No.
And that how like the teacher, I forgot her name, and there is like
Miss Frizzle?
Miss
You're
Frizzle
forgetting Miss Frizzle's name?
is like brainwashing children and like and killing them off and stuff and creating clones of them to kill them off too. And it's actually like very compelling when you watch it. I'll have to show you some of the videos because it's crazy.
It's almost like how SpongeBob SquarePants is a mentally challenged rapist. So,
well, he does talk a lot about. He has a full like hour episode too of like it's the whole SpongeBob theory too.
I don't know if SpongeBob is acting mentally challenged or a rapist, but I'm just assuming, I don't know. Just, we never really know, do we?
Never.
God.
SpongeBob. That's Patrick for you people out there. Anyway, let's get back into the story while I try to fix my glasses.
I saw Dylan take a seat next to one of the students who was staring at the front of the classroom with their arms crossed. At the entrance of the rest of the class, Dylan's behavior seemed to change. He seemed to sit up a bit straighter, his eyes widened. As he began staring at the rest of the class, I looked around and noticed all of the students were staring at the same spot. All of their eyes were pointed to Mrs. Wagner. Something didn't feel right, but I knew Dylan needed to stay at school and there was probably some sort of morning routine that they had. I left, still with concerns about the homework, but I decided to wait and see if any other strange homework had been set before I would take this matter further. I decided I would pick Dylan up from school, though, so I left work a little bit early and drove over to the school. The school bell rang, and soon all of the students were dismissed and starting to come out of the school gate. Most of the kids came out running and screaming out of the gate, apart from Mrs. Wagner's class. They all walked out in a line, walking in time. This disturbed me. I had never seen a group of students so well behaved, especially even after the school bell had rung. Which is fair, because it is like an actual zoo when school's let out.
Yeah, the bell rings. They're like, go! Everybody fucking go! You got any games on your phone? You got any V-Bucks on you? You want to see my... Hey, today at school, I learned this cool Fortnite dance. Want to see?
Sure.
Want to see my cool Fortnite dance? It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, and then in PE, I fell down and I scraped my knee real bad and it hurted it, and so I go to the nurse and she just started just fucking hitting me as hard as she could.
Jesus Christ.
Just unrelenting, did not stop. She just kept. That's how I learned the word unrelenting. She just kept hitting me over and over and over, and then eventually I woke back up here.
And she said, "Love me more than you love your parents."
And Miss Wagner showed her titties. It was pretty cool. Now, anyway.
So Dylan walked over to the car and hopped in. He didn't say anything, and he sat in his seat, staring straight forward. I asked him if he was okay, and he just replied, yes. I drove him home in silence, and when we got home and inside, Dylan went straight to his room and closed the door. I knew something was definitely wrong, but I didn't know what. I decided to leave him alone until my wife got home, and then I would tell her everything that had been going on. She got home about half an hour later, and I sat her down and explained everything that had been going on. She sat and listened and started to look more and more worried with every word I said. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I should go and talk to him. He might like that.
She said once I had finished explaining everything. I agreed, and so she went into his room, and I waited out in the lounge for them to finish talking to each other. 15 minutes later, Dylan walked out of his room and into the lounge room where he was holding a small workbook, and he said,
"Can you help me with my homework, Dad?"
"Of course. Come and show me what you need help with." He held out the notebook, the notebook, and I took it out of his hands and read the homework task for tonight. Written at the top line of the page was one task: research the best way to inject your parents with an anesthetic.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I had barely finished reading the sentence when I felt a sharp pain in my neck, and I looked down and saw the needle sticking out of the side of my neck. Dylan was holding the other end of the needle, a blank stare on his face. Everything had started to go black, and the last thing I remember is seeing Dylan staring down at me as I lay on the floor. I don't know how long I was out, but I was awoken by my wife screaming and crying. I woke up, startled, as she continued to scream.
"He's gone! Dylan's gone! He's fucking gone! There's so much. He took the fucking car. He took all the guns."
I looked up at her, and the first thing that I had seen was a small pinprick that was on the side of her neck. She'd been injected too. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to find my son. I tried my best to get up, but I don't think the drug had properly worn off yet, because I still couldn't move properly. I could move my arms, though, so I managed to get my phone out of my pocket and dial the police. I explained to them what had happened. They said they'd send officers out and begin looking for Dylan. I then noticed it was already 9 a.m, so I decided to ring the school and see if Dylan had gone there. I dialed, and a lady answered the phone. I asked if she had seen Dylan from Mrs. Wagner's class.
"No, I'm very sorry. We haven't seen him today. In fact, we haven't seen anyone from Miss Wagner's class today. They're all absent." Which is very odd because Miss Wagner hasn't shown up for work either today. And, I just assume she's all being all fat and sassy.
I hung up and sat in silence for a moment. My wife had heard what the lady said, so she also just sat there in silence. That was 3 weeks ago, and Dylan is still missing, along with Mrs. Wagner and the rest of his class. All the parents of the kids in Dylan's class have the same story. They were injected with something by their own children, and when they woke up, their child was gone. No one knows where they went, but they all had the same questions. Were they together? Was Miss Wagner with them? Was this all planned? Fucking probably. Why were the students acting so strange the day leading up to this? Were they hypnotized or drugged? Maybe something even more sinister was happening.
Oh, shit.
And that's it.
Damn.
That one was like a very slow build.
Very slow,
and
spooky build.
It all like kind of sounded normal, and then it just got weird.
Yeah, super weird.
But it wasn't like weird.
Imagine if that shit like really happened though, how crazy over the news that would be and stuff like that. Like an entire class of third graders missing.
Just a matter of time before Miss Wagner strikes again. Now, the next story we have comes from Reddit user Carl B. 1961. The Haunted Treehouse. When I was 12, my dad and my mom moved me and my little sister to a new house that had an old treehouse in the backyard. I wanted to play there. I'm going to read this exactly word for word. I wanted to play there, but a crazy old man came to me and warned, "Do not go into the treehouse. It's haunted and cursed, and you will die." But I didn't listen to him and climbed into the treehouse and went inside, and there were skeletons and ghosts dancing, and Jason was there too. I was scared. And then all the ghosts and the skeletons and Jason started pointing at me and telling me, "Join us, Chuck, join us." My name is Chuck.
There was multiple Jasons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Join us, Chuck, join us. My name is Chuck. And I was like, nah way. I was scared and ran down the treehouse and looked back at it and was gone. The crazy old man came to me and slapped me in the back and told me, "Stupid boy, I told you not to go inside the treehouse, and you did it anyway." I asked him about the treehouse, and he told me that exactly 50 years ago today, there was a boy my age named Timmy, who built the treehouse, invited all the kids from the neighborhood in to party to celebrate. But they all too heavy and the treehouse collapsed and they all died and now it's haunted and cursed. And I asked him how he knew this and he told me grimly, because Timmy was my grandfather. Whoa! That's fucking cool, bro.
What a fucking Shyamalan twist right there at the end.
Yeah. Can I read the next one too? Do you mind?
You can, sure, that's fine.
This one's gonna be really good. We're gonna get really into this. Okay. I'm gonna do my best like spooky narrator voice. All right. The Stove That Is Cursed by Reddit user Sad Walrus 244. The stove that is cursed. My stove broke because I used it too much, and I'm making a big dinner for the people who are coming over to my house. I ran outside to my truck and drive around the neighborhood.
I mean, technically, the way it is spelled could be pronounced neighborhood, but it is way wrong.
Anyway, he's driving around the neighborhood looking for a new stove, right? I am out of hope until Ollie find a stove on the side of the road for $10. I am in luck, I say as I park the truck and pay the man, but he says to be careful because it's cursed. Why is it cursed? I asked, lifting the stover up. I am very strong. The man says it comes from a house that burnt down and everybody died, but the stove was okay.
Is this the same old man from the last story that's warning him?
It could be.
This is a weird old man.
I don't believe in curses because I'm an atheist and I pay $10.
You pay the $10
for?
The stove.
The stove.
Oh, okay.
He's buying the stove for
I thought he was paying for like an atheism thing.
No, he's paying $10 for the cursed stove.
And he's paying his monthly fee for being an atheist. Yeah.
I was driving back home. I had to swerve because a car almost hit me. I'm an atheist, but made me scared about the stove. I bring the stove into my house and unplug the old one and move it and plug it in the new one. The lights, Jesus Christ, the lights runs on, but it's a red color, like red like hell fire. I think that is weird. It must be custom made. I'm cooking my big dinner when a knife fell off the shelf and almost hit me. The over can't really be cursed, can it? But I don't believe in curses, I say to myself as I clean up the broken knife. The people
Knife.
The people come over and I have the turkey ready for them. The people talked about how good the turkey was, and I smile at the success. But then one person throws up and another person and then another who throws up so hard that he throw up blood and the room is really gross. The stove laugh at us and I say, the man was right about the curse. The stove is the stove curse. It's cursed. The stove sets the house on fire and all the people die because of the fire except me because I was smart enough and fought the fire with an extinguisher. Hey, I spelled that word right. I grab a cross off the wall and stab the stove with it, and the stove screams and blood starts to come out of it.
Okay, there's a plot hole. He's atheist, but he grabbed a cross off the wall.
Listen, man.
He mentioned 4 times that he was atheist.
I don't know. He might have just had it ready to go.
He might just have one because he likes it.
It's a cool decorative piece. The blood is oil because it's in a stove and it catches on fire and the stove cooks itself while screaming. The firefighters come and put out the fire and says that I must have killed all their people with the fire and the police arrest me. No, I say it was the stove. The cop says you are under arrest for setting the people on fire. And he puts me in his cop car. I look back and see the light on the stove turn back on and it laughs at me. No! I yell at the sky because I'm going to jail and the stove will keep fighting people.
Yeah. I saw that one and I was like, that one's fucking perfect.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Are you guys scared yet?
That one was actually really scary. I don't know what you think.
It was pretty
over there,
scary.
Marty.
I'm terrified.
Were you shivering in your
Yeah,
your
yeah.
boots?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go throw my stove away.
Come home one morning, this fucking stove is just gone.
What happened?
Cursed.
There's just
Got rid of it.
some old man outside, and he's like, "Don't throw away that stove."
Don't go into the tree house and put the stove in there. But if you do, you could put some extra things in there. You know, like I got some boxes, and so you want to just kind of throw some stuff in there for me. That'd be cool. But don't do it. But if you do, let me know.
I wonder if the old man visited the person. He was like, they're like, "Ooh, cool, a kite on the ground," and he's like, "Don't fly that kite."
Don't fly the kite.
So this one actually takes place in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So, whoa, hit the table.
Jesus.
Good sound effect though.
Yeah.
It's in the Pacific Northwest.
That table, when you hit it, it sounds like Law and Order.
Yeah.
Dung, dung.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it to.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Can we just have a second and can we just like make like a horror soundscape real quick?
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna do like a Marty, just give me like a low rumble. Like I was thinking about like. Sorry, you need to pull forward, sir. Pull forward, sir. There's not enough burgers, sir.
Hello? Who's here?
Do you got any games on your phone? It's pretty scary.
Spooky.
Anyway.
All right, so this one is I booked a cabin in the mountains. The previous guest left a strange entry in the guest book by Old Goo Goo.
Oil goo goo. Oh, goo goo.
Stop barking. Barking. Stop.
Stop bark. Bad boy.
Stop
Bad boy.
barking and burping into the mic.
I am a bit of a bad boy, huh? There we go. A bit of a bad boy, huh? My mom's bit of a bad boy. Arr, arr.
Okay, DMX, calm down.
Recipes DMX. All right.
All right, you ready? For...
Yes, I'm ready to be terrified.
All right. So I moved from Seattle, from keep doing. From Kansas about 5 years ago. That was really well timed though. I moved to Seattle.
I moved to Seattle from Kansas about 5 years ago.
I'm one of those, quote, tech bros. All you locals are always complaining have ruined your city.
Bro. Honestly, bro, like, you know what I'm saying, dog? Dab me the fuck up right now, dude. Dab me the fuck up, bro. Fucking laptops and shit, dude. Honestly, honestly, dude, they're fucking unreal, dude. Laptops, dude, smartphones, fucking routers, dude. Like, I don't know, dude. You know what I'm saying, dog? You know what I'm saying? That's what's up.
Well, I guess it's my city now. Sorry about you. Hate the way this is fucking written.
Sorry about ya.
One of my favorite things about the Pacific Northwest is the mountains. I try to get away from the city as often as I can. So when I found this cabin on Skycomish River.
Snoqualmish.
Nope.
Oh,
Nice try though.
there is the
Snoqualmish.
Snoqualmish. Or whatever.
Yeah, there's a however the fuck you say it. I live here and I can't fucking pronounce half the shit. I decided I would treat myself to a midweek getaway in the early fall. I arrived this morning. The cabin was very cozy, tucked away among the trees next to the riverbanks. There was a hot tub on the back deck and Wi-Fi for us tech bros who only like the facade of roughing it.
Yeah, usually when I rough it, I'm with a bunch of cowboys in their tents, and they usually go and hang out in one tent with all one another, which I think is kind of weird.
Huh.
Hmm.
You ever join them or?
No, usually a lot. I think they like roughhouse, and there's a lot of like. So I think they're just roughhouse.
They're playing patty cakes.
Oh, dude, I want to play pancakes. I'll do that next time.
Yeah, you should join them.
I'll report back.
Mm-hmm. I put my bags on the bed and decided to explore inside before I headed out. There was an extensive DVD collection, mostly romantic comedies and family movies. Magazines from 5 years ago littered the coffee tables. In a little nook in the bedroom, I found a basket containing a few notebooks, a local travel guide. The notebooks.
Keep saying that.
I know. I don't know why.
Notebooks. The notebooks.
The Norborks are gonna come take over the world.
I'm having a hard time speaking today, okay?
And have a hard time keep hitting that fucking mic.
I know. I was just moving my wrist, and it just didn't work. The notebooks were according to the labels for, quote, guest notes. I smirked and lay down with the most recent one. I'd probably get a kick out of this. It was mostly what I had expected, people talking about their kids and their dogs and how they love the hot tub and the river. It was all pretty boring. I flipped through the book until I got to the most recent entries. Looked like the guest had written a few pages. 10/10/2020 at 10 p.m.
Well, that's my birthday.
Oh.
10/10?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. October, baby.
2020. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
I turned 27 that day.
Damn. Almost 30, huh?
I am.
That's tough. 10/10/2020, 10 p.m. The noises started around 8:30 tonight. At first, we thought it was just the rain. We never should have read that book we found in the woods.
My eyes widened and I looked more closely at the page. This was a little bit more interesting than the white bread entries before. Well,
maybe read is the wrong word. There wasn't enough in any language we understood to actually read. It was nothing but weird symbols and grotesque drawings, except for the very last page, which read in English. When darkness overtakes the day, that's when old Goo Goo likes to play. Teeth so sharp, eyes so red, once you see him, you're good as dead.
Okay. Pretty weird, but whatever.
That's literally like that should be the tagline for the show. Like this entire podcast, like not like just this episode, just in general. Just okay, pretty weird, but whatever. And then you just continue, yeah.
I think this actually is a continuation.
Oh yes.
So it's for you to read. But
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Okay, pretty weird, but whatever. He's changing his accent. These noises, though, we thought it was the dripping rain, which isn't the right cadence. It sounds more like licking. And every so often, there's a crunching sound. Maybe it's our imaginations. Maybe we aren't used to the forest, after all. It's so dark and quiet, that every sight or sound seems magnified. As I was closing the curtains in the bedroom, it looked like something was standing at the riverbank. Something vaguely human, but with large horns, big wings folded behind it. My husband says it was a tree. When I looked back, it was gone. Time for bed now. I hope I can sleep. The noises haven't stopped.
Just,
He's just literally
time
like,
for bed.
I saw some sort of being standing there with horns and wings. Anyway, time to go to fucking bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
They were like, what the fuck is that?
All right, you're gonna hit the hay.
It's time for bed. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what is that thing? Oh my God. I am so tired right now. I am going to just have a little bit of sleepy time tea, a little bit of milk and honey, and I'm going to be right off to bed. I'll see you guys in the morning.
I chuckled. Clearly, someone was getting into the Halloween spirit and having some fun with it. Still, I looked up and through the window in the bedroom at the raging river beyond, and I felt a little uneasy. Fucking no wonder, considering you just read a story about a fucking creature with horns and wings just right over yonder. And you're like, something about that story just kind of makes me feel weird.
Yeah. I just read the most terrifying thing ever, and I'm isolated in this cabin. I feel weird. I don't know why.
The sun was starting to set, and the big picture windows did give the impression that someone or something could be watching from the woods. I got up and closed the curtains before continuing reading, just to ease my mind.
10/11/2020, 7:45 a.m. The bed in this cabin is wonderfully comfortable. My husband slept like a rock. I, however, kept dreaming about the horned creature, standing at the corner of the bedroom, staring at me, masturbating violently, I assume. My husband said it was just a dream. But when I got up this morning, all the curtains were opened. My husband says he didn't touch them, and I must have left them open last night. But I know I didn't. At least the noises have stopped. We plan to enjoy the hot tub and relax today. 10/11/2020, 2:10 p.m. We spent the last hour in the hot tub. Very nice. But I kept seeing something darting around the trees. Even back inside, I felt like I'm being watched. My husband thinks I'm going crazy. Maybe I am.
Yeah, I think you probably are. Maybe drink a beer and chill out. This page started out with the same neat, tight handwriting of the entry before. But as the page went on, the writing became larger, more erratic, slanting across the page. The last entry on the page was the most haphazard looking.
10/11/2020, 8 p.m. The noises are back now, and they're chanting too. My husband says it's the neighbor, but it's a language isn't a language we know. I see glowing red lights in the woods, and I'm afraid to close my eyes. My husband says I'm overreacting. I don't think I can trust him anymore.
Chanting? Now I was really sure this was a joke.
Ah, you got me.
However, I strained my own ears in the quiet of the cabin and listened. The sun had definitely gone down now, but it was still raining. I could hear the dripping outside, but maybe if you were losing your mind, it did sound a little bit like licking. Yeah, that's how rain sounds. Yeah, that's exactly how rain sounds.
The rain's heavy tonight.
I admit that I gasped when I turned the page, even if it was all a joke. The next pages were barely legible scribbles and symbols and nonsense. I will try to write it out the best way I can for you.
10/12/2020, 8 a.m. I'm supposed to go home this morning. I can't believe I stayed in the woods all by myself all weekend. All of this alone time made me a little paranoid. I am packing the book I found. It is still wet for some reason, like it has been in the rain all weekend. On second thought, I don't think I will leave. I want to stay here forever. I want to become one with the old Goo-Goo.
The bottom third of that page was just odd symbols that I'd never seen before. The next and final page was simply Goo-Goo written over and over again.
Goo-Goo, Goo-Goo,
covering the entire page.
Goo-Goo, Goo-Goo, Goo-Goo. Milk, eggs, honey, bread. Goo-Goo, Goo-Goo.
Can't forget your shopping list when you are becoming possessed by the old Goo-Goo.
It's just fucking like they're having this like episode, they're just getting possessed, and they're like, Goo-Goo, Goo-Goo. Oh fuck, are we at eggs? Cuckoo, cuckoo.
I rolled my eyes and closed the guest book. Very funny, people. I got up and tossed it back into the basket with the other books, then rifled through to see if there was anything good that I missed. Maybe something better than this fake monster story. Behind the travel guides was a small leather book that I hadn't noticed before. Curious, I picked it up. It was strangely wet, like it had been in the rain all weekend.
Whoa! Oh, Google!
Oh, Google!
That's pretty cool. That was a fun
I
story.
thought that was a pretty good one.
I got really into that.
That was a really good one. I liked it.
It's ridiculous, but it's also like kind of spooky at the same time.
Okay, like the name Old Gugu is kind of a ridiculous name, but like the story itself is just so good.
Oh, Google.
Have you guys ever heard the story of old Greg?
How does Minecraft Steve get his exercise?
He runs around the block.
I got the next one here.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
That's fine.
Midnight with Bob by Reddit user Batbugs. Should I do this as spooky as possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It was midnight. The sky was blood red. The walls were covered in hyper-realistic blood. The moon was weeping loudly with bloodshot eyes. So I decided to watch some cartoons after closing my window. I turned on the TV, and there were no other channels but Nick Jr. Why was Nick Jr. on at midnight? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me try that again. Why was Nick Jr. on at midnight? I loudly yelled to myself. I don't know, I replied, confused.
Having a whole conversation with himself.
After long, uncomfortable static, which was weird because it was streaming on YouTube TV, now with over 70 exciting channels for $70.
Yeah, this guy's got a sponsor and everything.
That got me so off guard. Taylor compiled all these, so I have no idea what I'm reading, and it's so fucking funny. Oh, man. Okay. After the static cleared, I saw a man with a plaid shirt and overalls. He had a hard hat. I know that guy. That's Bob. I got fucking tears in my eyes.
This is a really good one. I'm glad you
Okay. I'm gonna try again. I know that guy. I know this guy. That's Bob. Oh, how wrong I was. A title showed up, and it read, Bob the Builder. I forgot the builder part. He was weeping. His cement mixer was completely dismantled. His Mexican friend, Hanford Manfred, I don't know, I've never seen the show.
That is the least Mexican name I've ever heard.
Came over with a hand placed on his friend's shoulder. He asked, "Can we fix it?" To which Bob, the builder, replied, "No, we can't." As he looked in the screen with bloodshot eyes, panicked, I unplugged my TV and threw it on the ground before running outside and burning my house to embers. I'm homeless now. Can you spare some change?
That's how it ends? Is it over? No fucking way.
Dude, I about just lost my fucking mind. That is I had no fucking idea where that was going, and I loved it. What a fucking that was honestly, man. Hey, round of fucking applause.
Flowers.
Wow, that was incredible. Wow, that was awesome. That was
That was a really good one. I really like that one.
like people say like how can you really like tell art? You know, like what is art? You know, like I mean, and art is subjective to the viewer and the individual creating this. But that right there, audio, video, doesn't matter. That was fucking art. That was like the goddamn Mona Lisa of scary stories.
Yeah, you know, Midnight with Bob is just
Bab.
it's amazing.
That
Can't
was
believe it.
that was fucking awesome, dude. I enjoyed that from beginning to end. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good.
All right. So this one is, I think my old bedtime story has a more sinister meaning, which is by user Pudinator. Again,
Oh, Pudinator.
Nader.
it's a return.
Pudinator.
Nader there.
I'm ready to do any sort of bits or characters. You just let me know. And
All right.
I'm ready to hop in.
Yeah. So, by the way that I sorted the like good stories was by like top of all time.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, Pudinator is a great writer because they had a couple on that thread
Fuck yeah.
up high. So
Hopefully, if they have a book or anything, we should definitely check it out
yeah,
because I know a lot of people do that.
yeah. I'll have to look. But every night my dad was in charge of putting me to bed. He would help me brush my teeth and then tuck me into my nice warm bed.
Brush your fucking teeth! Brush your fucking teeth! Brush your teeth! I was like, go to bed in your nice warm bed, you piece of shit. I assume that's how dads are. I didn't have one, so I just assume
Jesus.
that's how dads are.
No, not at all.
Anyway, so this guy has a nice, loving dad. Whatever. Anyway.
Well,
Plot hole.
I'm gonna kill myself. Now, anyway, what?
stop it.
Don't make this weird. You're bringing down the vibe. Do a fucking. Come on. What are you doing?
Then he would tell me a story. Every night it was the same story. The story of Bosco and Billy. I had lots of books in my room, as my mother would read to me throughout the day, but Dad would never read any of those books. He would always tell me the same story. I always assumed that either the story had come from a book, but my father had told it so many times that he didn't need to read it anymore, or that it was a story he was told as a child. I always enjoyed the story of Bosco and Billy. I always found that it would help me go to sleep. Usually, I was asleep by the end of the story. I slowly learned all of the words to the story and would sometimes recite it along with my dad. For some reason, probably because I heard it every night, the story stuck with me, and even to this day, I still remember all the words to the story. The story in its entirety is as follows.
Billy the bear was an ordinary bear with an ordinary life. But he had a small friend named Bosco who got him into strife.
You got to read this like a dad.
All right. You tucked in? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Marty, you tucked in over there? Mm-hmm. If you get out, I swear to fucking God, you get out of bed again, you're no more V-Bucks. Okay?
Fuck you.
God, piece of shit. Piece of shit. Start fucking. You're not even mine anyway. Anyway. All right. You guys ready for your story? Mm-hmm. Okay. Billy the bear was an ordinary bear with an ordinary life, but he had a small friend named Bosco who got him into strife. Most of the time, Bosco would behave, but sometimes he acted out. Billy tried to keep him in line, but sometimes he would break out. Like one time, Bosco was hungry and decided he would steal some food. Billy tried to stop him and explained to Bosco that stealing is rude. But Bosco didn't listen, and he stole the food anyway. And he took it to his secret spot and hid it away. Bosco took the food to the large oak tree that was in the woods. But he stuffed the food inside where he hid his goods. Billy never found the stolen food. It's hidden there to this day. Bosco wishes that it was never found. He hopes and he prays. Billy is kind and Bosco's a bit silly. And that's the story of Bosco and Billy.
Who thinks that Bosco was held captive the whole time?
I think Billy's the one. Billy's the one that's trying to find the food. Bosco's the one who stole the food.
Yeah, I know. So like Bosco stole the food and he's like he has to go hide it. He's like stealing shit to hide, and goes to, I don't know. It just seemed like maybe he was being held captive or something.
I don't know. Maybe Bosco goes over there to steal all the food and jerks off and eats. I'm just assuming that's probably what happened.
Now, the story seems innocent enough, and I always thought it was a cute little story about two bears. But after recent events, I now know that it's a lot more sinister than it first appears. My dad passed away a few years ago, and it took a toll on all of us, my mom especially.
I'm gonna die. I'm dead.
Jesus Christ.
I'm dead. I'm dying. The guy's mom. I'm dead. I'm dead. Dead.
She began to become a little bit reclusive after my father's passing, and so I didn't see her as often because she often shut herself from others. I spent a long time trying to create a relationship with my mother again, and slowly, over the course of a couple of years, I did manage to reconnect with her. Things weren't as they once were, but she did invite me over once a week for a cup of coffee. During these hour-long visits, we would sit in the kitchen and talk about times gone by, about my childhood, about my time at school, and all the good times that we had together. One subject that didn't come up, however, was my father. I think the pain was still too raw for my mom to talk about him. On one of my weekly visits, though, I thought I would try and mention my father, as I felt it might do Mom some good to talk about him. I decided to mention the story that he would tell me every night. Do you remember the story that Dad used to tell me before bed? The story of Billy and Bosco? I hesitantly asked, not knowing how Mom would react to the mention of her late husband. Mom looked up from her coffee that she was drinking. She looked confused. Maybe it was the first time he had been mentioned in the number of years, or maybe it's because she didn't know what I was talking about.
No, I don't remember that story. You had lots of books, so I can't remember all of them.
I was a bit surprised by this. Dad told it to me every night, so I would have thought she would remember it. I then went on to explain that it wasn't a book, it was a story that he would recite without reading it off of a page because he knew it so well.
I thought that your father would read you a different book each night. That's what he always told me anyway.
I thought that this was especially strange because he never read me one of my books. And I would have thought that my own mother would have known about this.
What was that story about?
It was about two bears, one named Billy and one named Bosco. I continued to explain the story when my mom interrupted.
You say that bear's name was Bosco?
Yeah, that's right. His name was Bosco.
That's strange. She said, had a look on her face that looked like she was trying to remember something. Your father used to tell me about a friend you used to have named Bosco. He used to say that Bosco would get him in a lot of trouble when he was younger. I never met this Bosco, which your dad said was a good thing. He also said that he only met up with Bosco once or twice after we met. And then your father told me that he was no longer going to see Bosco. He said that he finally got rid of him. I was always curious as to who he was. I never seen any photos of him or any evidence that he existed. Now I think about it. So it's strange that he told you a story that contained a character with the name Bosco.
Mom stopped talking for a second, and I didn't know how to respond. She then looked at me and asked,
Do you remember this story? Can you tell it to me?
I recited the entire story to her. She listened to the whole tale without changing her expression. She took it all in, and then she asked me, an oak tree? Are you sure that Bosco hid the food in an old oak tree in the woods.
We did this line backwards.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was definitely an old oak tree. Why is that?
I asked her sensing that something wasn't quite right.
It's just that on mine, your father's first date, he took me to an old oak tree that was out inside the Shelton Woods.
And we ate Cheez-Its out of it.
I put my whole hand inside. You know what? It's not important. Only 10 minutes drive from here. He told me then that he was lucky for me that Bosco hadn't decided to interrupt our date.
She then stopped talking and stared at a wall behind where I was sitting.
I think it's time for you to go now. I'm sorry.
She had a hint of sadness in her voice as she told me. I thought that maybe it was for the best that I did leave, so I got up, gave her a small hug, which she didn't even seem to notice. Then I collected my things and headed over to the front door. I got in my car and began to drive home. On the way home, however, I thought of the old oak tree and Bosco. It began to fill my head. I couldn't escape these thoughts. I didn't know what it all meant, if it meant anything at all. And I didn't know what compelled me, but I had to visit the Shelton Woods and find this oak tree. I turned my car around and headed in the direction of the woods. 15 minutes later, I found myself standing on the edge of the woods. I took a step forward and entered them. I didn't know exactly where this oak tree was, but I was determined to find it. I explored the woods for about 10 minutes before I saw it. Standing in front of me was this huge oak tree, its branches extending high up into the sky. And I walked over to the base of the tree. A sense of fear started to overcome me. Something didn't feel right. It felt like something terrible had happened here. I looked at the ground at the base of the tree and saw that the dirt looked slightly different than the rest of the dirt in the woods. I don't know why I did this, but I bent down and began to dig in the dirt.
What is there any worms in here? Is there any worms in this worm home?
There might be some worms.
It's a worm home.
The police say that if I hadn't started digging, they probably never would have found them. There were 4 bodies in total, all young women around the age of 24. All of them have been dead for over 30 years. It was undeniable. They were all murdered and buried under this tree. The DNA testing was also clear that my father was responsible for the killings. Somehow he managed to keep all of this hidden for many years. He never told anyone. The only clues that he gave were through my bedtime story, which I think was his way of confessing. The only thing I'm not sure of now is who is Bosco. Maybe my father and Bosco are the same person, or maybe he really did have a friend with that name. I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think I want to know.
Whoa.
That was a pretty good
That
one.
was pretty good. So,
Yeah.
Benny and Bosco. So I think I want to say that Billy is him, right? Like, is the actual dad, like as a sane human being.
Yeah.
And then Bosco's his evil alter ego that kills.
Maybe some form of like DID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of serial killers have that. They claim to have the like. I think it's like fucking. It's either PTK or it's Ted Bundy. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the entity or whatever it is. Some fucking
On Dexter, he calls it the dark passenger.
Yeah, the dark passenger. Yeah.
I just wanted to take a second. Look how many.
Dude, I'm looking at it, bro. There's so many. This is gonna be a fun read.
So I have it's called Grammarly on my docs, and it like underlines if something's spelled wrong or like it doesn't make sense, and just
It's just line after line after line of just red fucking lines. That's awesome.
Wait, let me see again.
It's pretty good.
it's a lot of
Yeah. It's pretty
a
good.
lot going on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, are you guys ready to dive into the scariest story of this entire episode?
Ready.
The evil Jim in the same universe as Supermarket Monster
Whoa.
by Reddit user Beans Chili.
Go off, Beans.
I'm trying to think of how I should read this. Should I read this in like an accent, or should I do a voice, or should I just be super spooky?
I think it should just be super spooky.
Yeah.
A long time ago. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Right as I start.
Sorry.
A long ago. In the future, there was a round man named Bob. He lived in a bad city where spooky things happen. Fridges being stolen and other bad things. He went Jim. He went God damn it. He went indoor. He saw a ghost. He was his round. The ghost ran. The ghost stand there, scare Bob, he ran. Both stood looking. It was Roger, his enemy. What the fuck?
It's enemy, but spelled really, really bad.
Sure. A cool breeze came floating with cherry blossom petal and wind chime. Jim flooded. Bob drowned. But actually, he didn't. Cereal box and milk flew into Jim. Huh? Bob said.
I just imagine the squeezy jibs. Huh.
Yeah. The supermarket monster. I save you, Roger, because you're enemy and I need you. Bob parkour over treadmill and weight thing.
He parkour.
He throw milk and cereal at Roger through portal to past. Roger ate and not go into store. Roger now alive. Also Roger uncle alive again. And Jim beat up a supermarket monster with power of enemy. Ghost exploded the gym, knocking Bob out. Bob woke up and broke Jim. Roger, his enemy, was gone. Hungry, he went into store. Ghost came out and say, I eat you. Roger eaten. No, not eat me, Roger said. He arm gone. Bob save, said you always enemy and sacrifice self to save Roger. Roger alive, but no arm, enemy gone. Also uncle die. The end hurt by Johnny Cash plays. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel.
I just like
try to focus
hurt
on the pain. The only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole. The old familiar sting. No, I'm singing Metallica. Try to kill it on the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember everything. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
What have I become? Dun, 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 dun. My sweetest friend. Dun, 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 I know. Goes away. I'm just going to sing the entire song. That was spooky. That was so
spooky.
It was so scary.
Roger, arm, lost, gone.
His arms are just gone completely.
It's going to be a long episode.
Uncle died.
Our last episode was about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one is my friend works for the city's CCTV archives and has seen some disturbing things by user 10-minute horror.
In 10 minutes, I'm going to scream really fucking loud. I'll wait.
I hadn't seen Mike in a few months. He'd been buried in work and our usual weekend nights out had disappeared. But then he called me on a Thursday and invited me over for drinks. I jumped at the invite, but took note of how depressed he sounded on the phone. By the time I got there, Mike had already started drinking and was slurring his words. A dark cloud seemed to hover over him, which got worse as we drank. Finally asked him what was going on. Mike turned darker, afraid. He said it had to do with work. I never really knew what Mike did for a living. I did know that he worked for the city in the tech department and was involved with the CCTV surveillance network, but I never knew what his day-to-day operations were, which he began to describe in detail.
So I wake up like 6 o'clock in the morning and just I have to clean all the mouse traps out of my bed. Put my shirt on backwards because I put it on wrong, and then I fix it. I get some coffee. I drive to work if I make it there, and then I sit in front of a monitor and just watch people crash into each other and die.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Anything else?
I was watching Bob the Builder the other night, and
YouTube plus 70 free premium channels.
okay. I hope we get a YouTube sponsorship. That'd be so fucking funny.
That'd be good. Mike explained that there were thousands of cameras scattered throughout the downtown core, outlying neighborhoods, and well into the suburbs of our 1 million plus city. His responsibility was to categorize and archive all of the incoming footage. Most of the footage went into general classifications and were saved in hard drive farms and identified with a lengthy combination of numbers and letters for categorical archiving. They were truly meant to be forgotten about. This was an expansive task, but Mike designed and built an AI screening program that detected common patterns in footage and then sectioned out anomalous behavior for review. The vast majority wasn't noteworthy, something like 99.99%. But then there was the 0.01%. The car accidents, assaults, swarmings, abductions, murders. They all went into a special archive for use in criminal investigations. And then there was the 0.0001%. They were all held in a classified archive and contained footage capturing events that were, by all accounts, unexplainable. This was called the Tartarus archive. I looked up the word Tartarus after and discovered that it was one of the darkest, deepest prisons from Greek mythology. It was said that if you drop an anvil from heaven, it would take 7 days for it to reach Earth. It would take another 7 for the anvil to reach Tartarus.
No, it only takes about maybe 2 minutes from heaven to the Earth. I know, because I drop anvils out of planes all the time.
Oh. Okay. Cool. I'm glad that you've done some research on this.
I'm a bit of a scientist.
I'm glad you're fact-checking.
It's not the only thing I'm fact-checking.
What
Trying to get comfortable.
What else are you fact-checking?
You know what goes into hot dogs?
I do know what goes into hot dogs.
Oh, okay, whatever.
What goes into hot dogs?
Everything.
Bunch of stuff. A bunch of goodies. it's a little fucking meat tube you put in your mouth. You want to put a little meat tube in your mouth, Marty?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. With the fucking body like that, of course you do.
I want a meat tube of all the goodies.
Give me a meat tube. Anyway.
So Tartarus was the place that you sent Titans when there was nowhere else that could contain them. When, I'm going to butcher this and I apologize now, Sisyphus was condemned to an eternity of futility and frustration with a large boulder and a mountain slope. That punishment was carried out in Tartarus. As it turns out, the name was quite fitting to the archive's growing contents. Some footage could be simplified to strange optical anomalies on the camera or coincidences of light or crackheads on a bender through the subway systems. Sounds about right. Other footage, though, defied logic.
If you hear the sounds of machinery in the background, we do apologize.
Yeah, someone's outside. Sounds like they're mowing a lawn in the middle of the fucking winter. What the fuck?
That or they were blowing leaves around.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That could be doing that.
It sounds different when I blow leaves.
What does it sound like?
Get over here, leaves. I call Marty leaves.
Oh. I mean, that answers my question, whose leaves, but...
Well, because he always leaves.
So the others are what captured Mike's mind that evening. He'd been breaking protocol and bringing hard drives home at night. In fact, he'd been splicing the footage together, capturing and compiling repeat aberrations and editing them into linear sequences. Mike wanted to show me some. It wasn't in a bragging or showing off kind of way. It felt more like sharing of a heavy burden, kind of way. I asked if showing me would get him in trouble, but he waved the idea away. I said, yeah, obviously I want to see what's going on in my city. Mike led me to his workroom where he had monitors and towers and piles of externals set up. We had sat down and skimmed through some of the drives nervously. Then he landed on one. Mike told me this was an anomaly codenamed Lincoln Spectre. He pressed play, and on the largest screen, black and white footage started up, showing Lincoln Avenue, one of our less attractive downtown streets, at 3 a.m.
Who wants to fuck a street?
This man does.
I'm gonna fuck Lincoln Street, Lincoln Avenue.
The camera angle showed the length of Lincoln Avenue as it led into the downtown core. The street appeared empty and quiet. From a side road, a woman emerged, walking towards the camera. She approached the intersection. She turned over her shoulder and appeared to scream. The woman took off, sprinting past the camera, which cut to a new, wider angle from another camera across the street. We watched the woman running frantically, seemingly being chased. But she was the only one on the street. There was no one else around her. But the woman kept screaming as she ran. The cameras kept following, cutting between different CCTV angles. We watched as the woman was chased in the middle of an empty intersection, and then she fell and then cowered as if something massive was standing over her. The woman's neck stiffened and she began to levitate off the ground. Her body looked like a rag doll, or as something lifted her by the throat until she was floating a dozen feet above the road in the middle of the intersection. Then the woman's head snapped to the left and her body fell back to the ground. The video ended and went black. I sat, shocked. Mike saw my expression and said,
You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. Not a damn thing yet. You just wait.
I asked if that was real, if what I saw was unaltered, was raw footage. Mike said that all he had done was put the clips together and that none of the content had been touched. He told me he found out the incident ended up being described as a hit and run, and the case was left figuratively open for more evidence to amass, which it never would. The department kept the footage hidden, claiming that it was a camera malfunction. No one outside Mike and his boss had seen the video of how the poor woman actually died. I started to understand the air of somberness that Mike was carrying around. Mike started the next video. This one was codenamed Black Crab and was much longer than the previous one.
Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle.
Scuttling time.
Oh, this ain't a hanging room. It's a scuttling room.
It started in the subway systems at the underground Walkley station shortly after closing up for the night. Walkley was the last stop on the route, and the exterior was shouldered by a new housing development on one side and untouched forest and swampland on the other. The cameras pointed down along the subway platform on the east side and showed its entire length with benches and garbage cans populating it. At the far end, the tunnel was filled with darkness. The lights on the platform shut off and the station went dark. The camera switched to night vision and everything became visible again. My eyes trained on the platform, waiting for something to happen. Finally, there was movement. It was coming from the tunnel. It was difficult to identify what it was at first, as its movements were strange and the footage was grainy, but it got closer to the camera and I got a better look. It resembled a human, a man, but he was walking on his hands and feet upside down.
Oh, shit.
With his back arched and his stomach pointed to the ceiling. He had long dark hair, which dragged along the ground. He wore tattered layers of old jackets and torn pants. He moved like a crab, jerkily yet quickly and easily as he made his way to the staircase. The footage cut to a new camera in the dark hallway leading to the stairs out of the station. We watched the crab walker crawl up 2 steps at a time, then crawl over the turnstiles and towards the exit. I don't like...
I think this is just footage of homeless people here in Portland.
I mean, there might...
Fair.
Tattered clothes, walking like a crab, screaming obscenities.
I'm a fucking crab. I'm a crab.
The footage cut again, now showing the exterior of the station entrance. The crab walker squeezed and twisted and maneuvered his body through the locked and closed entrance gate. It looked impossible to accomplish, but he did it. Once outside, the crab walker eyed his surroundings before skittering off to the woods and disappearing. The footage cut to an hour later and revealed the crab walker reappearing from the woods. He was dragging a small animal by the tail in his teeth. The animal looked like a cat. The crab walker squeezed back through the gate, crawled through the station, and disappeared into the subway tunnel. Again, Mike saw my expression and told me there was more.
There's always more.
There's always fucking more.
My name is Mike. There's always more.
He showed me the length of the video, which was over an hour long. Mike had compiled over 20 sequences of the crab walker creeping out of the subway station into the woods. Mike skimmed through the video towards the end, and we watched the crab walker come out of a sewer in a downtown alleyway, crawled over to a pile of garbage bags and cardboard boxes. Then it jumped into them, and some kind of vicious frenzy ensued. There was someone else in the pile of garbage. Hands and feet thrashed about as they were struggling for their life. But then the movement stopped, and the hands and feet went still. The crab walker's body moved jerkily about, but I couldn't see what was happening because of the darkness and all the garbage bags and boxes obscuring the camera's view. Mike leaned over to me and whispered that the crab walker was eating a homeless man.
Whoa.
This caused a criminal investigation as the dead body was found mutilated and festering in the open alleyway. Mike followed up on the inquiry, and what he discovered was the crab walker, who authorities believed was a man to be named David Fletcher. Decades ago, David had been a prominent lawyer with a family. One Christmas, there was a house fire, and his wife and kids were killed in the blaze, and it was David's fault. He'd lost everything, including his mind. Everyone has a breaking point, whether they know it or not, a place where they bend too far and then snap. David found his. Friends and family described his descent as nightmarish. David lived on the streets, became addicted to drugs, and tumbled into mental illness. The last anyone knew of him was from 10 years prior. He'd thrown himself in front of a subway at Walkley Station, and no one had heard from or seen him again. It appeared that somehow David had survived the subway hit. His back had broken and healed strangely, causing him to move the way he did. He adapted to the new posture and lived in the darkness of the subway tunnels, finding sustenance from drain water and the wild animals he caught. That was what Mike found out, at least. But then he said that was just the answers the investigators gave in Discovery, but who knows where the truth lay. Mike said that there was always an answer for the videos he saw, but whether the answers were true or not, no one knew. The ones that had become public all needed explanation, however absurd. Either way, David was never found and didn't reappear on the subway footage. Mike plugged in a new hard drive. He poured a fresh drink and told me that this was the one that was troubling him. The file was codenamed Cloud Mirror. I wasn't sure I wanted to see it, but before I could object, Mike pressed play. All the monitors lit up with footage from different intersections downtown on the exact same date and time as each other. There were 5 in total. The streets on the screen were empty and quiet, no cars or people. Suddenly, at the exact same time in the center of the intersections, a small glow pulsed into existence. It was some kind of orb, roughly the shape of a bowling ball. The streetlights around it pulsed with energy waves as the orb grew larger. It grew to the size of a beach ball. Then it flashed out. The streetlights went back to normal, and the intersection was as lifeless as it was before. I asked Mike what they were. He told me he had gigs of footage of the orbs, and he'd watched them repeatedly. He didn't know what they were at first. Then they started to change. Mike clicked on to the next video. Again, the 5 monitors lit up with the same intersections and time of night, but several weeks later. The street lights glowed and pulsed, and an orb manifested into existence again. It grew to its beach ball size and then altered its surface and glow. Something gas-like replaced it, growing outward to a couch-sized cloud of gray. One of the cameras was closer, so I got to see the small clouds in detail. It looked like a volcanic eruption wrapping around itself. They were large, constantly morphing blobs that curled outward from a glowing center, resembling a mandelbulb.
Yeah, mandible.
I don't know what that means.
Mandible fractal.
Yeah.
As a gaseous based organism.
Yeah. I don't know what a mandelbulb fractal is, but
I will look it up. Hold on.
It was fascinating to see them floating in the middle of the street, so alien to our roads and stoplights and street lamps. Then they began to move, gliding down empty roads, cameras cut to different angles, following the clouds on some unknown path, zigging and zagging onto new streets through alleyways, and then they'd stop. The clouds hovered in the center of their intersection, then they'd lower to ground level, standing straight up like a large coffin. Holding rigid to their shape, the exteriors continued to shift and mold together like magnets made of smoke. Down on the street, people appeared. They'd seen the cloud and they were walking towards it. The group looked drunk and fascinated by the floating entity, so much so that as they were approaching it, the cloud became brighter. The streetlights around it pulsed. The group was in some kind of trance, staring into the morphing blob. One in the group, a guy, stared into it like a zombie and then walked right into the cloud and disappeared. Another group tried to stop him. Instead, another one followed him in, and then another one and another one. All 5 members of the group disappeared in the cloud. Then they reappeared, one at a time. Then, in the order they went in, only they weren't stumbling or boisterous and drunk now. They were walking upright, using minimal movements. They formed a perfect 5-person circle for several seconds over quick words, then turned and went all in separate directions, their strides and arm swings and speed all matching. Another monitor showed a similar situation with a larger group of people, lost in referee, as they marched one after another into the cloud. Each monitor showed the same thing now, people entering the clouds and coming back out different. Mike had stopped the video. I'd asked him if he'd shown this to anyone else. He said he hadn't, not even to his one boss, which was a problem because he had a meeting with his boss in the morning to discuss the missing footage. I asked why he didn't show the footage to his boss. This footage seemed more than serious. People were being replaced by something. Mike sighed and put a new video on. The main monitor lit up and showed a new downtown street. The date was from earlier this week. One of the clouds was floating in the intersection. Middle-aged couple was walking nearby, the husband with a slight limp in his right leg. The couple saw the cloud and were sucked in by its aura. They approached it, eyes wide and mouths open. Both the husband and wife entered the cloud and disappeared, and then reappeared. The husband's limp was gone. Mike turned to me and said, "That was my boss and his wife."
Whoa. That was fucking spooky. I like that one.
It was really spooky because, this could happen.
Yeah. That definitely could happen. For real, it's actually happening right now on the streets. It's out there. They're always watching.
Is this another lot of typos one?
I don't know. You look at my screen and tell me.
Yeah, the next one. Next one's real fucking scary.
Scare man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You want to read this one?
Yeah, I'll read Scare Man by Reddit user Sir Toad Todd. There was a man, he was a scare, but he put shitter on the back of his hair. He went to a kid, and the kid said, "Who is you, sir?" "Who you is, sir?" Yeah. Mm-hmm. He said with his scare voice, "I am Scare Man. You is my lunch." Ha 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 ha. And the said, "Ah!" Then he got 8. Later in school, there was a kid named Jack. He was the coolest kid in school, but no one knew that yet. He was get bullied by the bully boys named Bulson and Tom Mean.
The bully boys, Bulson.
Yes. He said, "You know, cool kid, 'cause you smell like fart." But in school, the teacher said, "Oh no, the scare man is here. Kids, run." The scare man came in and said, "I will eat you," the bullies said. "No, don't eat Ada Ma. Please," they said. Scared, the scare man said, "Not," and ate. Then Jack said, "No, scare man, I will defeat you before ate anyone else." Scare man, "Kid, you have not a friend in school, kid." Jack said, "Say back or else," the scare man said. "No, not," and come for Jack. Jack punched scare man in the penis. The scare man died and said, "Oh no, not my penis." Oh. Scare man was dead now. Jack became the cool kid and got all the girls in the end.
Question mark.
Yeah, there was.
But
In the end?
I don't even know what number this is.
A lot.
Hold on. Let me. I actually don't even know. Oh my god. Wow.
Duo-vigintillion?
Okay. And now to re-up on the part 2 of Scareman. Scareman 2, The Return of Man.
Vigintillion?
Duo-vigintillion?
Yeah.
Two duo-vigintillion years after the first after I forgot the kid name from Scareman 1. I don't know. That like right no. Anyways, the kid from Scareman 1 died of scare. He was found dead in a house. But who killed him? I don't know. Anyways, the police found him dead. Though something was off. He came back from dead and said, "I am scared, dude," and killed the police. After what happened, there were shock upon the world. The world said, "If Scareman dead, then how this happen?" Scared dude destroyed the country of Detroit. Though this was not the end. Everyone else in Detroit who died rose from the die and said, "We are now scary dudes." And 8 men and people. Yeah. And then there was a man. His name was Scareman. He was alive. The whole world was shocked. He said, "I'm good now, and me will stop scary people and scare dude." Scareman went to Detroit, which was the nest of scare dude and scare people. He said, "It's fight time." And scare people came at him, and he killed a lot of them, but they kept coming. He ran to the scare lair and screamed, "Must use firepower and blue cooling, boom." The building said. Scare dude said, "You evil me is evil time." He jumped out of the scare, kicked him in the butt, and he said, "No, not my butt." The Scareman said, "Had enough yet?" Scared dude grabbed Scareman and said, "Nay," and killed Scareman. The whole world said, "No!" But Scared dude died of anal cancer, so everyone was safe. The end.
The end?
Question.
Wow. I think I have one more Let me find it real quick.
I don't get how in that story, how the continuation of Scareman, you know, how it was like 2 fucking kajillion billion trillion years later, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, kid from Scareman 1 just die. They're like, he's still a kid. Like, how is this kid still alive that long later?
He do just be.
Yeah. He do just be alive 10 million scared dude.
And one final scare for this week's episode comes from Reddit user Cyflix HD. Roblox flying ghost sighting. Hello, I thought I would share one of my stories when I was a kid. Oh, sorry. When I was a kid, because it scared me so much, where I couldn't sleep for weeks thinking about it. So let the story begin. I was playing Roblox, a childhood game of mine. I thought I would practice 11 to 12 stud wraparounds so I can get better at the game. For those of you who don't know, wraparounds are like Neos in Minecraft. But when I was playing a person named Terminite, which was their display name, their username was redacted for privacy reasons. They joined my game. By their avatar, I could see they were a girl. It was pretty obvious they joined to practice as well, and they started failing the wraparounds a huge lot. She kept failing until she stood there for a really long time and said in chat, "Goodbye." She left after about 10 to 20 minutes. I assumed she got kicked for being AFK until I saw her avatar appear in the game again, starting to fly around everywhere. I decided to leave because of how scary it was and went to sleep thinking nothing about it. I woke up and found my brother dead in the other room. I tried to explain to my mom it was a ghost, but she thought I was crazy and thought I killed him. Now I'm in an insane asylum writing this, and if it ever happens to you, just know that.
Oh.
Thank you. And, I'd like to thank the Academy, everyone who's been just been a part of this. It's been real fun. I have one final story, it looks like. I'm going to read it since we actually do have the time. Can you...
Sorry, there's a soundboard over here and I forgot about it. And I just remembered.
This comes from Reddit user Bongo's Revenge.
Oh.
Attack of the cursed bong water.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's all in caps. One day I got off work, got my shitty-ass job in a shit-ass McDonald's. My manager was being a real bag of cunt, so I fed up and went home and did the one thing you could do. Yup. Pulled out my trusty 11-foot tempered glass behemoth engraved with some old family crest or some shit I bought at a garage sale from a lonely old grandpa who said it was his son's or some shit, and that he would just smoke out of it every day, and told me to never use it, otherwise he'd be cursed. And of course I didn't listen, never listened to him, and I used it every day. But today was different. When I went to use it, I noticed the bong water was red like blood. I didn't think anything else of it because a real stoner never changes their water or bong water, so I wore it as a badge of honor. As I was grinding up my ounce and blueberry butt choke, the bong water growled viciously like someone was taking a pull, and I said, "Hey, you stop that right now. There's very distracting." And I stopped at once, and so I went back to grinding my good when I heard a voice saying, "You dare mock the spirit of Pineapple Kush," to which it pissed me off. So I hurled the bong at the wall because I was starting to sound like my manager, which pissed me off more. And then I almost got through without laughing, which pissed me off more, so I didn't like it. I didn't really care. And it broke because it did break, and then fucking angry Jamaican ghost flew out and said he would grind me up like flour and smoke my ass like a split when I told him to chill out, and I gave him a joint to smoke. And after he smoked, I asked him how he felt, and he said that he was really high, so I told him that the joint was filled with oregano and he looked like a poser asshole because it wasn't weed, and he was so embarrassed I tricked him. He fucking died instantly. His whole bloodline was vaporized. And that's how I defeated the evil bong wizard and smoked 500 bowls that day in celebration. The end.
Jesus.
Wow.
That is a story.
That is my favorite one of today.
Yeah.
Scared yet?
I think the Bob
Oh yeah,
Bob
yeah.
at Midnight
that one
is
was
my
good,
favorite.
yeah.
That one actually like hurt like the sides of my neck, because like I was like, fucking manager. That was great. That was fun, Tay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you to all the people who wrote those. You guys are fantastic. I'm glad when we do these things, we try to give everybody
Pootinator.
shout-outs. Yeah, Pootinator. Fucking keep killing it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All those stories are really fun. You know, I didn't read a bad story that entire time. You know, I've never been so scared in my entire fucking life. Now, that being said, you can follow us on Instagram at HGOPodcast. You can follow us on Facebook's at Haunts, Graves, and Omens. Go and like, share, subscribe. The Comedy Chaos Network. Marty's dropping shit. Something's happening over there. And please go check me out on Instagram at IHuntTheHaunted. You can follow Taylor directly on Instagram at,
Lunar Thrill.
and you can follow Marty directly on Instagram
At Ghetto Feather.
Go check out me and Marty's other show, the Doc Comedy Podcast. And go check out our fucking Instagram, the .com pod. And you can check out our TikTok, the fucking .com pod. And you can check out the Haunts, Graves, and Omens.
And our adult friend finder account.
Yes, that one too. And you can check out our Instagram, our TikTok at HGOPodcast. And if you want to email us and tell us a scary fucking story, something you've written, something you've seen, had a weird experience. I don't know. You tell me, because I'm not the one fucking writing the emails. I'm the one who's sitting here like an idiot, still yelling at a camera right now. But you can email us at HGOPodcast@gmail.com.
That one was a lot longer. I tried to shut it off. It did
You
not
just
work.
restarted it.
Yeah, it just restarted.
But until then, stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And my fucking manager and this goddamn poser ghost, he keeps coming out, and I'm fucking sick of it, man. There's Bob the Builder, who's not really a builder because he won't fix it. He's a piece of shit. And Marty's playing with the soundboard again. I'm just fucking losing it. What? Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Big kisses. I love you. I'll fucking kiss you on the goddamn lips.
Now kiss.
Now kiss.